Exactly.
Like, do
Exactly.
you really care? Um, but I know that it is about sometimes. I think we need to get out of the mindset of surviving and really start
Yes.
thriving. Um,
Yes.
when I worked at home, I didn't know what I was doing at first. I mean, when I first started, I was just determined to work from home to make some extra income so I could be available to my boys. They were teenagers at the time. My husband commuted an hour, and I just refused to be in a position where I had to be an hour or two away. And I just determined, I looked at other people who were successful, and I started duplicating things that they did, even though I might not 100% understood it. But during that time, I did a lot of networking, and I found so many women that was so satisfied in making an extra $100. And I don't want to throw out any particular company name because all the companies that's out there that's helping women generate some income is great companies. But
Yeah.
sometimes you have to think, yes, you might be a little worth more than $1 for a lipstick.
Yeah. And I think, your example's perfect because I, always think and I think we have a bad connotation to the word profit for some reason. We see, big corporate profits and we think they're greedy. But, the thing you said about if you want to add value to everyone and that we meet, and I think that's something universally as women, we genuinely do care. And I like to change that to profit everyone you meet so that you change the connotation of what the value is, that you're enriching other people's lives. And I think as an educator and a trainer and all that sort of stuff, I think us women do that really, really well. And when you put the word profit, everyone you meet in there, it lessens that angst around profit and you realize it's okay to add value and it's a good thing to add value. And then when you see, in business, profits in business, you should clap. When you see your friends doing well, applaud their success and support them, and do look at the numbers. Yes, every single thing we start, like when you first bring your first baby home, you've got no clue how to be a mum. There's no instruction guide, but you do it. And then the more you do it and you learn from your mistakes and you pick up and you become a great mum because you're committed to that. That's the level of commitment we need to have to our businesses and just realize that we're all going to make mistakes. It's fine. Like you learn more from doing something wrong and then getting it right. And then you've got that pride. It's not about being perfect the first time. And I think that's one of the things that people just have to get, that they need to get out there and get started and listen to the feedback and they'll get there. It's one step at a time. Take the next opportunity. They do present themselves. But that level of commitment that we have to our kids, if we had that level of commitment to our businesses and it was no longer, could I make this work, but how am I going to make this work? Because you're that clear that you're going to make it work, that's when opportunities just come around and you're on purpose. You've got clarity and it makes such a difference.
It really does. And the truth of the matter is, I know over here in America, Social Security is really in danger right now. There's so much stuff going on. And, the women that we're talking to tonight, that, we have to understand that realistically, a lot of those benefits probably will not even be existence 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah, and that's again, that's the same globally, where most of us are living in a population where there's less young people in the workforce and there's a higher older population. So there's less people paying taxes to be able to fund Social Security and the benefits. So as much as they're important, the money's just not going to be there. And so governments around the world are going to have to, look at smarter ways of doing that. And that's why financial empowerment to me is like the next big thing. Like it's the one area we need to tackle, and we need to tackle it in every generation. And whether it's the 30-year-old professional who's going to, learn these lessons and then go to her mum and teach her mum and make sure she's got the right things in place and teach her kids. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter which one, but that's the one thing us women are good at. We love our families. And if we can start sharing it and sharing the lessons and instead of getting stuck in the problem, and I think, why I love what you're doing, I think entrepreneurship will be the answer for women.
I agree. I think that, I mean, I will say that everyone's not necessarily going to make that $1 million because they have no desire to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that I always tell people that you need to always keep money flowing. Money should be moving.
Yes.
Stop listening to what the banks are telling you to do and start looking at what the banks are doing. Start looking at what people who have money, multi-millionaires, they always are investing their money. They're always looking for a way for their money to make them more money. They do not take
Yeah.
their money and sit it in a corner and collect dust for 20, 30 years and expect it to be there and have enough value to help them with the lifestyle they're trying to accomplish. They always have money moving. And I
Yeah.
think that what we need to do, especially as women, is we need to stop listening to what everybody's telling us to do sometimes and looking at what they're doing.
Yes. And I think, I was saying, have a look at what we do with our kids, with our daughters and stuff. I was a bit horrified over Christmas just because had this idea in my head that I wanted to solve, and about the whole women saying that they can't afford to have children, and I'm just looking at the women I know, and there's a lot of them, and looking at what they did over Christmas and stuff, and they all overspent, most of them, on what their budgets were, because they wanted to be seen as generous and it's Christmas and all that sort of stuff. But pretty much all of them bought things that went down in value for their kids. They didn't buy things that would go up in value, like maybe a share in a bank or something. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, if we could just get people to do a little bit more of give things that are going to go up in value over time and compound, then women would be hitting, the age where, they've had 15 years because their parents haven't wasted it on stuff that's going to end up in the bin anyway.
And they forgot about.
Yeah, exactly. And, I had one friend who turned up, she's got two daughters, with like 5 bags of gifts that she had bought over the years when they were younger, that had never even been opened.
Wow. I have a mother-in-law
Never
like
even
that.
been opened.
She has gifts throughout the house that she buys so much stuff in advance that sometimes when she's ready to give it to you, she actually forgot where it's at.
Yeah. And some of it, she gave her kids, but she'd given her so much, and they got presents off everyone else that they had 2 and 3 of them. And they never did anything about it.
So even though you spent all this money, you really have nothing of value.
Yes. And I think that's it again. It's just understanding that shopping isn't the problem. I'm a big believer in this. It's just about being conscious of how you're allocating the money you've got and saying, just some of it needs to go into stuff that's going up in value, not down. And parking your money in a bank account when you understand the time value of money, like if someone offered you $1,000 today or $1,000 5 years from now, you'd take the $1,000 today, right? Because 5 years from now, inflation's going to kick in, and it's not going to have the buying power that it used to. But that's the same thing when you're parking it in a bank account. It's not going to work. But we have to start small and just start getting on top of our spending and make sure we're putting that money aside so that we can become investors. And I think we need to step in. One of the big things I'm really big on is stepping into that identity of seeing your life as an investment. Or every choice you make, you're either wasting time or investing time. So you're either spending it doing something that brings you great joy, or something, that really, you're vegged out in front of the TV and it's meaningless for you because you're exhausted. And I think as women, one of the other things, I like people to do is have delicious daily habits. So things, I call it lifestyle by design and now wealth by design, that you need to have a life that brings you joy, where you allocate the same as your money, you allocate the time you have in things that are going to bring your life goals forward. So whether that's, time with your children, you don't want to have time with your children where you're so stressed out and it's not quality time. And sometimes we need to give ourselves some things just for us that bring us joy, so we don't wake up that day and go, how did I get here? I've lived my life for everyone else except me and I'm not happy. And there's a lot of women in their 40s and stuff getting there, unfortunately, because they've been running around trying to make everyone else happy instead of recognising that it's their life as well. So, yes, make people happy, profit everyone you meet, but don't leave yourself out of the equation, because then you're undervaluing you and your life. And it matters because you only get one shot at it.
Like I used to say, a lot of people, especially with women, it may work for men, but really I've always found things that fit into my life, not make my life try to fit into something else. It does work
Yes.
for men because my husband over the last 20 something years haven't blinked an eye. He gets up, he goes to work. We had children, he gets up and go to work. Our kids are grown, he gets up and go to work.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed too much in his daily routine. And I think for women, we need to find things that fit into our life. And when I worked
Yes.
from home, that was one of my decisions. It was like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to spend my time. And I wanted to basically spend my time with my kids because, they grow so fast. Now they're both in their 20s.
Yep.
And my youngest one just got married, and him and his wife is expecting their first child. And it's
Oh, wow.
funny. Yes. I'm like, I'm going to be a grandma. And I'm already shopping. Every time I go by a little cute little booty, my husband's like, get away from the booties.
Yeah, I'll be telling you to go and, put some money away in a trust or some shares.
Believe it or not, we've already started saving for her because we know it's going to be a girl, and we already calling her by her name, Naomi. And we've already started and we actually started with just a change jar. We was like, we're going to just start sewing change. My son and his wife, and it's funny because my son said, Mom, she's going to be born and she's going to have more money in her pocket than we are.
Yeah.
But
it's it's important. I think that's awesome. Congratulations. You're going to be a sexy grandma.
Oh, yes, I am. Because, women, as we get older, we always get better. But
Right. Absolutely. We're like wine.
Yes. That's what I used to say. We get better with time. But when my kids was younger, I really made a point of making sure that one of us, because my husband, his job is long hours, and one of us was always accessible to, after school activities and things. So everything I did, it was about fitting into my life. And I noticed sometimes, even with some of my friends, they're so busy with trying to build their careers and different things that everything, the husband, the kids, everything is trying to fit around this career or this time. And I just think that women, we can be as successful, but I know that our success looks different. It just, maybe I necessarily can't say I was at a company for 20 something years, but did I make great money? Yes. Was I happy? Did I help a lot of people? And in every experience took me to the next experience. I mean, to this day, I would tell anyone, I don't think I would ever have created Launch Over 40 and be as, really an advocate as much as I am for women if I didn't go through some of those experiences before. So I think sometimes with us, because we do change or we do have to make that left turn, that sometimes we see it as a waste of time or, oh, I wish I would have got here faster. But for us, we kind of build ourselves. It's like a little block. Yeah. Oh, I got this experience. Oh, wow. Now that's opened a door for me for here. Oh, I didn't know this existed. Now I know the next thing. That's just how we are as females. And just because it looks different doesn't mean that it's worse. Truthfully, I'm only a female. I'm surrounded by testosterone with a husband and 2 sons. I am so glad I'm a woman.
Yeah,
I love my sons.
But I must admit, I totally agree with you. I mean, I wouldn't have created Financially Fabulous. I mean, when I became a single mum, freak, I was told I could never get pregnant, never have kids. And I actually find out I'm pregnant when I'm 6 months pregnant.
Wow.
Because it was just not even in the realm. And, her dad sees her, but he's certainly not involved financially at all. And I made a decision that I wanted exactly to spend time and that I wanted to be the best mum I could be. And so I designed my life around my priorities, which was that, I wanted her to be, I wanted to be an at-home mum, but I still needed to bring in money, obviously, because there's only me. So, so I had my global coaching business. So I would work from home, online. I had clients all around the world. And it was fabulous, clients winning awards. And then we went overseas. I promised I'd take her to Disneyland for her 5th birthday. So we went across to America and stayed there for a year and launched a business and stuff. But if I hadn't learnt lessons from the GFC that, wiped me and nearly sent me bankrupt, that if I had known more and just had the right ownership structures and things in place, I wouldn't have put everything else at risk. And I went, how? When I'm a